Hello, and welcome back to episode 4 of the Where Wub podcast with Cimino, myself, Ryan Levine, Wub, aka Calvin Harrigal, or the other one. Wub is his first name now, and
Yeah.
Travis Tangeman. So today we're going to talk about the results from the Melbourne Regional, the revealed Street Fighter 6 Challenger deck cards that have been coming out, some clarifications on the drive keyword from Street Fighter, the pseudo reversal cards, and then we're going to have a follow up to our 15-minute rant about Filled with Doubt from the previous episode, which we'll see.
We're hoping for gold splits. I think we can get it down to 10 minutes this time.
Yeah. Okay, so as far as the Melbourne Regional, Peak was the most. Should we talk about the errata to Nick Reagan as well? We'll talk about that too, I guess, because that also happened. Anyways, that did happen. I think
we'll get to it.
Yeah,
we'll
get to it. We'll get to it.
We'll slot that in after the results from.
Yeah,
OCE.
It's okay. All right, so OC results: 3 Peak from AOT3, the only AOT3 character in Top Cut. Bakugo 4, Pony, Nick Reagan, R.I.P. Byako, and Reiner. This is the AOT2 Reiner, I believe, right? Yeah, the AOT2 Reiner. So, did anything from this shock anyone? I think Peak was kind of one of the characters already on our radar from our previous ones, right?
Yeah, I think we all knew that Peak was going to be pretty steady as far as number of people that will show up with the deck, because it's just solid good, and also it being solid good, I'm not surprised that 3 of them converted in Top Cut. I want to say 10 of them showed up, right?
I think it was the most played deck, right?
I want to say it was 10 Peaks showed up and 3 converted, which is 30% is a great conversion rate for I don't know, I think it was 65 people or something like that.
Yeah. It wasn't egregious or super overrepresented for the conversion rate. It was just fine.
Yeah. I'm not that surprised that many Peaks converted. I think that it's very cool to watch the fact that Bakugo got second off the back of that kind of has a pretty good matchup into Peak, right? Because the GR doesn't function into that character, so you just have Bakugo's lucky string of, if I find rabble rousing, every character in the game dies, and also Peak can't really do anything about my middling strings, so they have to play real defense or stay on the minus speed side, so they don't get to leverage extra builds with Peak on the front half, or if they do, it costs them an extra foundation.
Yeah, so from watching the match, I think John, the Peak player, played very well in realizing that Bakugo had a very hot hand and then sort of bricked after that, and didn't really give him the opportunity to empty his hand, so the Bakugo bricked 2 turns in a row as a result, because he only drew 2 or 3 cards for that turn.
Yeah.
But you also got to see that Peak is very versatile, and she can't DR moves, but she is able to reduce the speed on everything and very easily hold a decent number of cards in chain block, which is what ended up happening. So while this character might not be as good into Bakugo, it's not Hanji 2 into Bakugo, right? Where your main defense is just shut off. You still can -3. I mean, they weren't running Shrewd Observations. I've been messing with that card. I feel that card is insane with her on the backside. You can just block forever. So, the other thing that I wanted to bring up about this Top Cut is I think there was only one person playing Airship in the whole Top Cut, which was pretty surprising.
I believe you're right. I believe it was only one person.
They must have showed up day 2 of Albuquerque.
Yeah, they just didn't have him, I guess.
Yeah, they probably couldn't get him.
And I think it was just Reiner, right?
Yeah, it was
who is sort of, I believe even this Reiner's flip side still encourage you to have different colors on your field. So you do want some amount of assets and backups and stuff like that just to get the extra stats.
Yeah. I don't know, from my perspective, as a Bakugo player, sure, it might be scary playing an Airship. But if you were able to pick up a Rabble and just play another Rabble in a turn, that to me is one less attack that needs to connect.
Oh, for sure.
In general, the concept of Airship in these decks is you draw your best attack twice, right? And that's that seems good enough to run it to me. I mean, I can see the argument without 2 checks. That's fair. But
Sure.
for these peak decks, I was surprised not to see it, I guess.
Yeah, I think the other thing too about like when I'm looking at these peak decks, or just like I guess specifically John's list in general, I think Ryan pointed it out like a little while ago when we were looking at it. This is just like the most like anti-nonsense sideboard. It's just like a bunch of 2-ubs for like a bunch of corner cases or like random coverage for specific matchups, just like very evenly spread, because this was like the first event of this format, right? So like you don't know what everyone is bringing. You have an idea that like a lot of people are going to be on peak or like think peak is good, which is like why that guy played Bakugo. But also I'm pretty sure that guy just likes Bakugo in general.
Yeah.
He had a
And
graded
then-
Chrome, so I'd like to
Yeah,
believe
so-
yes.
Yeah.
He
I-
probably
he
just
was
likes
probably
gonna be
Bakugo.
regardless.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. The I don't want to seem like it was like exactly Mr. Magoo, just like he's walking backwards into the event and gets turned around and is in top cut. But like it's he right place, right time, but also just like good spot to be in when people have to play their game plan slightly differently with like the most represented character, but also just like the sideboards being so stretched thin, or like I'm excited to see what we look like going forward as far as like sideboards and stuff, where like maybe some of these 2-ubs become 3-ubs, or like we hone in on like these are the matchups that I actually have trouble with versus like this is theoretically what I might lose to. But I think that like when you notice all of the sideboards in the top cut are just like a bunch of 2-ubs for like random specific corner cases, it's like pretty telling that we are in a new format, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the peak players are definitely like trying to decide on what 4-ubs they think are like the important ones. Like John
Mhm.
clearly valued Determined Dive, which I think I agree with. That one looks really good. The order list was sort of a whole bunch of stuff. Like you're doing Walk the Dogs, you have both Lightning Rod and Colossus SWAT, Unyielding
And Unyielding
Destruction.
Destruction. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like this very interesting mix of cards. I didn't like the idea of Unyielding in Peak, but then Tim at some point pointed out that he's just like, well, I mean, you could nuke to 4, build a foundation, and then build like 4 pass, and you're at like 9, and your opponent's at 4, and that's pretty good. Like, I guess I
Yeah.
can see that. Right?
I do like Unyielding quite a bit in that character. She
Yeah.
makes it really free.
Yeah.
I
She's
guess
also
that's fair,
like
yeah.
it wears the speed half of her character really well because it's just base 6 damage already, right?
So,
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
but couple things. One, you are sacrificing down to 4. So if you give speed on it, you're down to 3 or potentially
Yes,
even
you
2
can't
foundations.
really
So I'm gonna say
parry
no,
that.
you can't
It's not,
really.
like, equitable.
And
Sure,
2,
sure.
I think Unyielding Destruction makes the most. I mean, like I personally don't think Unyielding Destruction makes any sense in the order version specifically. It seems like it has anti-synergy with Walk the Dog, because your opponent is going to be sacrificing down and presumably keeping readies, and then they're blocking your 2-speed move. Your Walk the Dog is probably dead. And it's really good on death when you throw a Luna Ring after it, because Luna Ring gets damage for every card destroyed this turn.
Oh yeah.
So Luna
Yeah.
Ring is going to be like
Yes.
+8, right? Like just off Unyielding. And then you're going to be throwing like a 7 high, a 7 high 16 or something. So I feel like on death, Unyielding Destruction seems really cool. I personally don't see it on order. I think it almost kind of goes against what the order deck is trying to do, or what it wants to be doing. But
That makes sense. I think if you just play it to build pass into a foundation deficit and then don't play it on the other turns, like that's not the worst.
Mhm.
But the problem is then like when you have that and you need to go in with other attacks, you feel like you just don't even want to press the blitz, and you're just playing
Yeah.
a slow mid with no
I-
upside.
So I think, trying to get into this player's head a little bit, I
Mhm.
think the reason to be playing the cards specifically in the order version is not as like you play it first, but you go like SWAT, Lightning Rod, pop these foundations. I still have a bunch of extra ready. You've blocked. I have decided that I am not killing you this turn. Set back to 4.
sure, you play it
Kill
on
me.
like a 7 or an 8, and then you just
Yeah.
keep your good ready ones. Fair enough.
I
And
think
then you
building
go-
at that point is tough, right? Like
Yeah, sure, but like the idea is that you put your opponent on 4 foundations. If you have not used peak this turn, you still get to use peak to build
Mhm.
1. So you are probably on average 6 to 7 foundations, assuming you go like 1 diff 0 diff or 2 diff 1 diff, which are realistically should be passable. assuming you don't check like garbage on them, and then you tell your opponent to kill them. Like, because this deck's very aggressive. Like
Yes.
23 attacks, they're trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Right.
And Willie Tiber actually triggers. I didn't realize that it actually also can trigger when you have an equal number of foundations to your rival. So if you
Correct.
save that, then Unyielding puts you both to 4. You get one off Willie. I'm going to presume, yes, you haven't built with Peak yet because you know you're about to Unyielding Destruction. And then that's
Right.
actually just 6. And then you pass a foundation, you have 7 to their 6. Yeah, I can definitely see if you block twice, pretty unlikely they're going to kill you, I feel. And then you can just DR, if they have another attack or 2, you just DR it. Like, unless your opponent is Porco, I don't think they're throwing more than 3 attacks on 4 foundations. But
Yeah.
Right.
I guess
This
you
game
never
plan-
know.
Yeah, this game plan's also a lot better than, in my opinion, than just like playing it as a vanilla on a 5, because you die to Filled Without less, right? Like, if you give them 2 really primo Filled Without targets in Colossus Swat, Lightning Rod, you've got Patchwork, which is another really good Filled Without target. And instead, you go, all right, well, you're going to Filled Without these ones, and then at the end, I'm going to play this Unyielding, and you will get bodied by it because you used your answers to it already.
Yeah, it's approaching that puzzle from the opposite end. Instead of like, I'm going to play just well-statted, low committal attacks to kind of dance under Filled Without, this deck is saying, I'm going to play the 7 most broken attacks this game has ever seen,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to Filled Without
everything.
every single one, or one of them's gonna get through, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, in that case, Filled Without's not that good of a card.
Yeah, yeah.
We've done it.
Yeah. Whoops.
Well, the last few attacks in these peak decks, Zane's list had a few interesting things. Like Ripper Arrives carrying stats is like really nice.
That one's super cool.
And then Thunder Spear Barrage is ridiculous in this character. Like, you do burn out of foundations, right, if you try and cash in on it completely, but like, it's so efficient to play it that it feels like it can be such a safe string ender, right? Like, you can just play it on a 7 or an 8, not really worry, you easily commit, and then, barring like maybe 2 3s, you can just check and do what is it in her, like,
It's a 4 high 8 in her.
8. With artillery, it's 9, right? So it's just like an 18 damage echo.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. So with artillery, it is 9. I always forget about the random artillery.
In the peak mirror, it's 10.
Crazy.
If your opponent has the Titan
it's 10.
keyword, it's actually 10. So that is something.
Which is
that is
absurd.
something relevant that I truly feel
That is
like
actually good.
some people probably have missed in playing, or like haven't considered, is like a lot of these Titan characters have the Titan keyword on their front side as well. Which is not all of them, like not all of them. Like the AOT 2 characters, I don't think have Titan on their front side, but the AOT 3 characters, I think all of them have Titan on their front side. Even, I mean, all the ones that transform, at least, not just like random. Yes, Annie has Titan
on the front side.
Armin has Titan on the front side. Aaron has Titan on the front side. Falco has Titan on front side. Yeah, every AOT 3 character that transforms has the Titan keyword on the front side as well as the flip side, which I do not believe is the case in any other.
Yeah, AOT
Right,
1, they're not Titans on the back or on the front, and then they flip and are. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Interesting.
But, yeah, it feels like there's a lot of directions you could take this deck. Like, Peak just has so many attack. Like, it's sort of the like Shoto 2 thing where you would play a card name and you go like, wow, I give this 2/2 and stun 2. That's crazy. Like, Peak, you can think about it in the context of, I'm putting 3/3 on this attack. That's insane. And like, everything sounds good in her all of a sudden. And then also the death symbol just has so much synergy. It's like, I have 45 attacks I want in this character. What even do I do?
Yeah.
Like, you have to cut somewhere.
She is the deck builder's paradise character, and I appreciate that we are getting more of those as of recent.
Yeah. And I like that she feels like she's playing the game with you when you play. Like, it doesn't, some of these other decks, you can get aggroed out so early, or, it feels like you can't even put an attack on the table. It feels like Peak is interacting with you pretty much the entire time you're playing the game, and I do like that aspect of the character, even if she ends up being the best deck, or like gives too many stats or whatever it is, right? So
I think Honestly, it kind of depends. I think the order version playing SWAT and Lightning Rod is not trying to play the game at all with you, and the the death decks are actually trying to play a more interactive game.
Which
So
is
I've played
shocking
against
because that's
the
not
Yeah, right.
usually
order version
Yeah.
quite a bit, and it has just been, oh, if I see the moves on 2, I will try to explode you with reckless abandon. Which I hate that because I think that character is capable of infinitely more interesting things that are maybe better. I don't know. They could be worse, but like
yeah.
I'm trying to play the game. I don't want to kill my opponent on 2. I want to play the game with my character.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is in the top cut here. There's a 100-card Byakko deck. I don't think I have anything to say.
Yeah. I guess speaking of things in the top cut, we can go to impromptu topic number 2 of the Nick Reagan errata.
Oh, yeah.
True.
A lot of people are saying that the errata doesn't kill the all version. And I guess I'm interested in, as like other people that have played all Nick Reagan to success in tournaments, what do you guys believe about that? Because I believe it does kill the air version, right? Because the air version's angle was like,
Yeah.
instead
The
of
air
going
version
all,
brilliant.
you're going
literally
wide.
doesn't function
Yeah.
as it did.
The
The all
air version
deck,
is over.
if you
Yeah.
want to still try it, I believe you have to completely rebuild it. Right?
I
Like
agree.
you have to
Yeah.
rebuild it completely, which is fine, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So,
now
like,
is probably the time to do what like everyone was, or everyone that wasn't like us specifically was saying, and do like, yeah, just play like 60, or not 60, even rather 80 card Nick Reagan, and just play the good ones to hit. Because it's like, yeah, I guess if you only get 2 presses of the button and you really really need to see the good ones, and you need to build your attacks super tall on like turn 2 immediately, then like, yes, you probably play less cards, and then you do just immediately crash out if they can block you, because you just don't have enough of a deck to play a long game. But
yeah.
like,
So,
that's probably what's required.
right. I think, you I think you could probably get away with like 70 now because that's 6 enhances, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like remove 48 cards. Like that's pretty reasonable for that point in the game. And if your opponent is blocked 6 times versus your like 10 plus speed moves, like they got it.
Yeah,
And
right.
that is where I think we want this deck to be, right? Like this deck still might kill seven-handers a little too dead, but
Mhm.
in general, we can fight this. Like we can bring cards that beat this. This isn't like you either play against all and everything's very tall, or you play against air and they go super, super wide. There's one
Yeah, like
direction this deck is coming at.
people, yeah, like people were already doing this at like Albuquerque, right? Like the reason that Albuquerque was as like decisive as it was with like the air Knicks made it, the all Knicks didn't, was because everyone in the room was ready and prepared for the doom of like all Nick, and they packed stuff for it. They packed like resets, they packed whatever. But those answers don't answer the same Nick Reagan deck from a different angle, right? And now if he's only coming at you from one angle, sure, it might be a little bit like overtuned sometimes, but it is easier to answer because you know exactly what's happening the whole
well, I
time.
think it's even more of because like sometimes so like the air deck was designed to go wide literally every single turn. The all deck, it like with a like not as consistently as the air deck, but if the all deck hit the card draw and hit besiege into teaming, and then Big Fist Bash picked up besiege, like you could still throw 4 to 5 attacks in the all deck. Like that wasn't happening
Yes.
every single turn like the air deck was trying to do, but it could still happen. And no matter
Right.
what your preparation was, you could still die. Like you could have 2 resets and still explode. Now that literally cannot happen. There can only be 2 like supercharged attacks per turn. And if you can get through the 2 supercharged attacks, you're probably not dying to the base stat attacks that come later, if there even are any, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that you probably run a good deal more stage interaction. Like you look at things like 80% power or something to like break through on your first move. Just things to deal with stuff like moment of normalcy. Like you're already sort of insulated against filled with doubt because of how your character works, which is nice. Um, I don't know. I haven't drawn up a list yet, but I think that he's probably still a pretty reasonable character, and I think this fixes the like, well, I had the answers to 2 attacks, and he just played Besiege and stapled 20 damage on it because it was the third move, and I had to interact with the first 2, etc.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. there is a light at the end of the tunnel, at least now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a universe where he's still playable, but in my mind, I think for a multitude of reasons, he is very much the opposite.
Yeah,
I
I would
don't-
never enter
I-
an event with this character in this. Like,
I agree
I would
with
never
that.
play an event with this character now, which is what I wanted, I guess. So
Yeah,
correct. Yes, accurate.
He was not the one that has survived a character errata. No one has done that yet.
Correct.
It's never happened, and
Hmm.
it likely never will. But
Smiling Titan.
yeah,
That is true.
Maybe.
She did survive.
that's true. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty concise thoughts on Nick, right?
Yeah.
I guess in the past 2 weeks there have been a bunch of reveals for Street Fighter stuff. Most notably, I think we got. I guess most notably is a horrible way to say we got Chun-Li with her guts rearranged. As far as like alt art characters. So like not most notably we have the alt arts of the characters, which we already had the text for. But definitely notably we got a bunch of info on Drive, the pseudo reversals, and a bunch of like splashable attuned stuff that people are excited about, like Guardian Angel of Chinatown specifically. I know a lot of people are either up in arms or excited for on water. And then we talked, I would say a bit is not a generous enough word. We talked a lot before the podcast about a couple of these cards.
Yeah.
So
let's try to see if we can
let's
if we
contain
can
it here.
channel this energy. Okay, so first let's briefly go over the characters. I think these have been revealed for a little while, but now we have like some of their kits, like visible.
Mhm.
So if there was anything that didn't make sense, now it maybe makes a little bit more sense. And now we have the context of what Drive means and what these reversal-esque things do. So Drive, the keyword is commit a foundation or spend a momentum. So it is an additional cost to playing an ability. So when something says Drive 1, that means commit a foundation or spend a momentum. Technically, I think if something said Drive 2, I guess that would imply you commit 2, but I do not believe any of the cards shown.
It's not a keyword.
I don't. Well, it says
Yeah.
Drive 1, right?
It does say Drive 1, so it could in theory say Drive 2, but
Yeah,
it
but
is important to
yeah.
note that there's no keyword stuff with it. It's just
It's not something that you can cancel with like cancel keyword ability cards, right?
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
just like,
It's a Drive is a it's just a codified way of saying spend momentum or commit a foundation.
It's like refresh.
Yeah, I guess.
like what?
Yeah. So Ryu is my favorite, I think, of the characters. I mean, Jamie's cool too. Like Jamie's probably pretty sick.
Yeah.
Jamie and Ryu to me are very, very cool. I know Chun-Li has like some cool applications and stuff that she has going on. I don't care about Luke at all.
Luke is the one that seems significantly
he's
undertuned compared to the
there.
other ones to me.
Ryu kind of feels like he would be more at home in like a previous meta in terms of power level, but I like the words on him. So that's kind of where I'm at with that character.
A lot of people have made the comparison that he's like All Might 3 shaped. I agree. I think the problem is that like All Might 3 leveraged free stats and being an 8-hander with like a beefy health total in a format where your attacks did a lot of the heavy lifting. And like on his symbols, he has a couple of like attack packages that I feel like are pulling in a lot of different directions, right? Like he doesn't have like a crazy obvious like way to go. Like you have void punches, which I know one of our buddies was working on, and like that's pretty not bad, right? You want to just like leverage the fact that you're putting 2 damage on all of these things to get people to turn on the other part of your character, which is good. But like he has like a lot going on with his attuned symbols, obviously, because like I think we agreed in previous like podcast episodes or just in general that like void is a good symbol to have on your card.
I think all 3 of these are good symbols now. Like I actually think all 3 of these symbols have very good cards now. Like this is fine.
They do. Maybe it's fine that he's non-tech, non-weapon, but I kept finding cards that had a tech or weapon keyword that I wanted in my Ryu deck and being annoyed by it.
Yeah.
Like I would have liked to put an animate shot on the board and make them block and draw 3. but
Mhm.
that doesn't get damaged. Maybe that doesn't matter, right? Like
They
maybe
still
it's
probably
fine.
gonna
They're
block
gonna
that card,
block it.
right? Yeah.
Right,
Like
yeah.
most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't totally care about the keyword, and that could be
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But
It's also
yeah.
like you don't have to like fully commit to like multiple copies of cards that don't match the keyword. Like it's fine to have like your attack lineup be things that he works with and then also some amount of animus shots, right?
or
'Cause, like,
whatever else, right?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I we have a new locals that has started pretty recently in Michigan. And one of the people there is like very excited for Ryu, so I will be working on a Ryu deck for sure. And he has like he's almost like too like I don't know, he's almost like too formless. Like he doesn't have a great direction outside of like don't put these ones in, but also maybe you can, right? Like he's just
Yeah.
very blank. He doesn't give you a great direction to go off of. It's just like play attacks that your opponent doesn't want to hit them. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit, Dick Tracy. That's how the game works. But
sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes that's how the game works.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I'll be tooling around with Ryu for a little bit. And yeah, like I have nothing going on with Luke. He's like,
Yeah, Luke seems real. I guess I'll eat my words
someone's
if
favorite
Luke
character.
wins
Yeah,
every
yes.
event in the
I-
next 2
yes.
years. Like I don't, but
yeah,
I don't
we're
get
at
it.
Like this character, it feels like Luke is missing something.
Yeah.
Like
Correct.
maybe not
feels
once per
like
turn
he's
on the response, or maybe like
missing
if
a
the
line of
attack
text.
deals damage, or like just something. But yeah, Chun-Li.
Yeah.
Like,
So
why does he have 30? Like, why does he have like this? Just that feels
we're
like a
gonna go off
weird
about Luke.
health
Yeah,
total. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he just
Yeah,
seems
what part-
bad. I don't know. I don't mean to
Yeah,
kick Luke
what
while he's
part
down,
about-
but like,
yeah, I was
It-
gonna
he
say,
just
what part about
seems
Luke's
bad.
effects? Yeah, what part about
It's
Luke's
okay.
effects warrant him having 2 less health than Ryu outside of the fact that his face isn't on the box of the game?
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Luke's face might be on the box Street Fighter 6. Hold on, not gonna find that.
Oh, well.
I
He
think it
was
actually
the-
is.
He
I
is
think
the
it
like
is.
protagonist of the
Okay, Luke.
Damn.
Literally,
Why do they hate
Ryu's not
him?
on the box Street Fighter 6. It's
Why do
literally
they
just
hate
Luke.
him?
It's literally just Luke. The box Street Fighter 6 is just Luke. He's the only character on the box.
Well,
God.
Okay.
anyway, Chun-Li.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Chun-Li, like, yeah, I don't know with Luke. Chun-Li, the interesting part of this card to me is the Ready One Foundation that doesn't have safety text. I like that because that lets me do dumb things. I don't know if this character is good, but I enjoy like readying Thunder Spear demo over and over. And this and an action in the set let me do that. So I will probably at least try with this character. But I don't really have much more to say about her because I just don't think kicks have been in a great spot for a while. So that part feels ugly. And you do need to play kicks if you want to use her effect.
Yeah, we've been in a spot where like they just decided after MHA that we aren't like doing keywords that have anything to do with people fighting each other. We're doing keywords that are just like, there. Like tech, like weapons,
Yeah.
like whatever. Like we're not punching and kicking each other anymore. We're not
Kick behind,
slamming.
kick, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're not mad.
Please.
Well, some of us
Which-
are mad.
This
It's
is
a
true.
roast end.
So fury exists. Yeah.
Which,
So
you know,
what I will
it
say
really-
about
sucks.
kicks is
Yeah.
one for all full cowling 8% roundhouse is a kick, which
Mhm.
That's
slots
good.
in quite well to air.
Yeah.
Like that gives you a direction for air, surely, because you're continuously clearing cards. Is that going to be worse than pony? Who's to
Absolutely.
say? Yes.
Nope,
Who's to say? The answer is absolutely yes.
Yeah,
Don't
the
lie to
answer
the
is absolutely
community.
Yeah. Yeah, yes. However, I think Recipro Turbo from Girl Power is a card that I've looked at many times and just been like, this card's great. It's too bad kicks don't exist currently, and now maybe they will. And it's on 2 of her symbols. It's on air and order. So
Yeah.
She has
Also-
a thing that works when they block, though, and that card says your stuff is hard to block.
well, they're not gonna
So, like,
Yeah.
not block or block all of them. Like eventually something will
I
have to be
Yeah.
blocked or they die, right? Like
I mean,
I
to be
guess.
fair, that card also, like, you're hardly ever using that effect unless you're going for game anyways, because it makes it harder to build afterwards. And that card specifically has a if this is the only thing in your card pool effect. So, like, she makes that into if this is the second attack you've played this turn, it also still works.
yeah.
Yeah.
As
And
long
it has
as your first one was a
EX4.
kick.
Like
It does have
EX4 is
EX4.
really good.
That's a
Like,
very
that's-
large number.
Like
That is
that's
so
pretty
much,
good. Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
I had a discussion
Also,
with
like, you
with-
know,
like as
okay.
far as like EX keywords, sorry, like I was looking at like EX and powerful. It's like when I see a card has like EX or powerful 3, I go, oh, that's a really cool effect. And then I see a card has EX2, I'm like pathetic. Like we'll
Yeah,
now I'm like
disgusting,
terrible.
yeah.
Yeah, literally disgusting. And then I see
Yeah.
EX4 and I'm like unquantifiable power. Like impossible.
You see EX4 and you stop looking at that part of the card and you look around for why this card isn't at 4 in every deck.
Yeah.
You're like, what part of you is broken
Yeah.
that we can't use this? Yeah, what part of you doesn't function? But yeah, I guess like, in this might sound like schizo posting, but stop me if I say something dumb. In every single piece of promotional art I've ever seen for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they are like kicking the air. And
Oh
also
my
they're
God.
turtles. So like there might be kicks in TMNT.
On the
and
water
some of them might
symbol.
have water.
Yeah,
How
so
Stat
might have
Strike can
water.
still
Yeah,
be in
okay.
Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles part
Yeah,
8.
literally me pointing at the fucking whiteboard. Yeah.
Yes,
no, it's-
Staff Strike.
Guys,
and
we did
a
it.
bunch of yeah.
yes, it must. It must.
Yeah.
Jamie's very cool, I think, as well. On like the same axis of you get like a bunch of drink counters and your character is just like 4/4 at some point. Like you are a 7-hander with like squishy health, so like you have to survive, but you're on good symbols for like block tricks in terms of like air has a bunch of like really good block tricks. And in general, like I think there's a couple of ways to ready this guy, right?
Well, he readies himself.
Yeah.
He readies
when you
himself,
block.
so there's that. Yeah. I think what concerns me about Jamie is the fact that I want to run Tastier in this character, and every time I do that, things don't turn out well.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't take my advice at all. I love running Tasty Riff to my own detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the concept of a breakdancer who's just playing the guitar while doing it. That's kind of cool. You should do that.
And I mean, he does go to 5 drink counters. Like his
4.
stats cap out at 4, but you can get a 5th counter on him, and you can
Oh.
loop airships with Tastier if you wanted. So
Yeah.
you could.
So, man, my thoughts
Oh
on
my
this
god,
character
he's
are
the actual headspins character. That's funny.
He sure is. My thoughts on this character are that he is entirely too slow, with the huge asterisk of "I am a hero too" exists.
So does Horndash Hammer. That is also on his symbols.
Correct. So
He
like,
can't play both, but yes.
yes, yeah. So like on the separate symbols, I think he is entirely too slow otherwise because he is a once per turn to get a drink counter. So
Do
like,
you have his high school transcript? Is he a 1A student?
So
no, I don't believe so.
he does with Ariel Kokosho, he can get a counter on their turn.
Correct.
So if you want to do that, that is an option, but that is a lot of work.
Yeah, I know I Am a Hero 2 has looked very impressive in him, not only being unable to be filled with Doubted or Genkais has been like crazy actually. Like that
Oh,
card
it can't
text
be
was,
sealed.
yes, that card text was almost irrelevant for the longest time, and now it's like, oh, okay.
Dude, they thought so far ahead.
They
Yeah.
knew.
They were aware of the monstrosities to come.
They knew eventually they would print effect failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that he is a perfectly fun deck and a perfectly like reasonable deck with like a very clear like, okay, I win the game now button if the game goes long enough, or like you at least have the capability to put that in. So like, I would not be surprised if he makes like just shy of top cuts just because people like him. But yeah,
On a teaming symbol, you can go crazy.
he is teaming. He can do head spins. Head spins.
Yeah,
with head
literally.
spins. Uh,
You can teaming Big Fist Bash, pick up teaming.
yeah. We
When
touched
does
on
he
it a little bit
become
when we were.
good? I guess like if we're analyzing like the stats he gives, if you're putting 1/1 on all your moves to what? If you
3/3.
3/3?
He
3/3 is when he becomes good.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm glad
2-2
you
is
understood what I was
pretty good
asking.
for turn
I'm glad.
Yes,
I thought I would have to
2-2
clarify that a lot more because what I said was very
No,
vague.
yeah. I got it. I got it as well, but I was thinking about it, and I think 2-2 is good. 3-3 is like a problem.
2-2 is like
well, not a
playable,
problem.
probably. 2-2
Yeah,
is
2-2
like
is
you're
playable.
playing a real character.
A character,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
Because yeah, 2-2 is just Nick, right? So like,
Yes.
Choo
2-2.
Choo is Bionic Menace. Yes, you could be doing that
Yeah.
if you wanted.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think so. Personally, I think that's fine. I think if Nick was just 2-2 the whole time, nobody would have complained about that character at all.
Well, yeah, because nobody complains about Bionic Menace. Like Bionic Menace is a
Correct.
character that is like pretty playable, but no one complains about
you could have
it.
ended the sentence that Bionic Menace is a character, and most people would have been like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. But
I guess with Airship and Hero 2, you hit 3-3 right away if you wanted.
correct.
Right?
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, I think specifically with Horn Dash or Hero 2, this character gets to the critical mass point fast enough for me to be like, oh, 3-3 is good. 3-3 is where
Yeah.
you want to be.
I guess with that caveat, do we feel like he's in a similar spot? Not like specifically with Bakugo being good into peak or like relevant into damage reduction characters, but like, do we think that he's another one of those characters where when you see this card, this character is actually really good, and when you don't, this character is like okay to bad, right?
Yes.
Like when Bakugo sees rabble rousing, I think that character is insane, and when Jamie Siu sees like Hero 2, I think that character is probably pretty good, but when you don't, that character is pretty medium, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm pretty content with having him be in that like bracket.
Yeah, because I played a few games against the character. Shout outs to Pringles Man. He was playing like a 3-diff or like 3-diff for tribal basically, where you were playing like the 4-diff from AOT that picks up a printed 3-diff if you have 3 cards in your card pool, and then the only aside from that, the only non 3-diff was like Hero 2, and then you just do like head spins with Airship picking up your 4-diff to pick up another 3-diff. And then you had horseback charge, and you're touching a bunch of cards. And I don't know if that's necessarily the way to go, but like the difference in that deck when you drew Hero 2 versus when you did not, actual night and day.
Yeah, for sure. It's like it's similar to like when you watch a Porco that drew Mighty Blitz versus one that didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna
like
mention
to
Porco.
the extent
I think
of I think that Jamie is like much less explosive immediately than Porco with those turns. Like Jamie doesn't go, I've drawn Hero 2, you might be dead this turn. Jamie goes, I've drawn Hero 2, every turn after this is going to suck for you.
Yes.
I mean, you could die that turn. If he had Airship
Sure.
and opens with 3-3 and everything, like that might just be it. I think this character is pretty comparable to Porco, arguably on slightly worse symbols because there's no death symbol on him. But
Yeah.
I think he fits into those like 7-handers that will rip your head off given the opportunity. Right.
Oh, for
and
sure.
then it'll just be a power ranking of those, right? Like whichever one people decide is the most efficient is what.
Yeah, or like whichever one you actually want to play, right? Like a lot of people just play
that's the
whatever
real
they want
answer.
in this game,
Yeah.
but like so many of these characters just kind of do the same thing in different wrapping, and it's like, well, this guy is cool to look at. He's a break dancer.
Yeah.
I will play him because funny, or because I
literal
like fighting
kick flips.
Yes, literal kick flips, literal head spins. But yeah, I mean, we touched on it earlier. Drive as like a mechanic, right? Like I think cost wise, I guess it really does just depend on the card itself, right? Like I think that drive cost being commit or spend is like a good idea for a cost. But if you show me an effect that's like drive 1, hack into your opponent's bank account, I will go, that probably should have been slightly more aggressively costed.
Yeah, some of these cards are like drive 1, do terrible bad effect, and then some of these cards are like drive 1, kill your opponent, and it's like, oh, it's like, okay, like yeah,
I think
like,
it's kind of like you know
Yeah.
how we had like discarding a card felt like a real cost, and then they printed like Wish Hard, Feral Shriek, all these Bing Bongs, that kind of thing.
yeah.
Drive coming out now is like after Defiant Stance and all these cards that like give you a benefit when you commit them, Forceful Negotiator, stun your opponent, like all of these things like coming out, and then Drive, it's like it feels like less of a cost, you know, incompatible.
Oh yeah, Forceful
with
Negotiator and
trading.
Chun-Li is probably going to be crazy. That's going to be really annoying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to add to that. I just, that was just.
Yeah, I think
that
was pretty well put. Right?
Yeah.
Like, drive cost, like herder drive cost is appropriate when it's appropriate, but like,
Oh, another one is the Fourth Wielder Foundation, because it goes to momentum and then you can drive again with it because it's in your momentum.
Ooh.
So
yeah,
like,
and you know,
that one
and hey,
acts
you know
like the
what?
nightstands.
That leads us into the reversals,
Oh,
which a lot of
talking
those
about
have.
these.
Yeah. Hey, Wub, go ahead and take it away. Tell us how you're gonna ruin universes this set.
Let's start with the Rising
I'm not
Uppercut,
gonna-
I guess, right? I think Rising
I'm not gonna
Uppercut
ruin it.
is the scarier one, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but this was the one
Yeah.
that
I
seems...
agree with you. This is flame, like, without even considering other implications. This is flame aura shaped, and I hate that card so much.
I also
Yeah.
do. That card is so cringe, man.
So
God.
I think it's notable to like a few things about this card. One, the zero block mod means that even if it isn't resetting the speed, it still probably can block. Then also like looking at highs, like the things you don't reduce the speed on, they just don't really matter. Like sure, you don't set the speed to 4 on Thunder Spear Barrage, the card your opponent's putting to 2 speed anyway. Or Falling Titans, you're still blocking it on a 5, right? Like I'd have to go through and like actually look at all of the
While
high
you're talking,
attacks.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
While you're
Yeah.
talking, I'll do it.
But the
Quickly,
crazy
vamp,
ones,
vamp.
like the non-highs, you've got like, oh my gosh, it's like defeating the Colossus Titan. Just like a number of these like big dunks. Falling Skies is a non-ranged. I had a full list at some point, but it's more just like it hits so many of these cards that it feels so free to just throw this card out, even if you aren't really getting a lot from the attack. Like the worst case on this card is like a Flame Aura that burns for 4 if you're willing to commit a foundation to play it,
Gets
and
you
you got
momentum.
momentum.
Yeah.
Yes, which is like
And yeah, and you get the opportunity
so
to press
good.
any amount of buttons that like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, sure, you don't reset the speed on Battle Aura. Like, who cares? It just doesn't matter.
It
Oh
literally,
no.
yes.
Anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do reset the speed on Luna Ring, the card that Peak would be giving 3 speed to. I don't know. It just
Craig.
it feels like this card covers so many things. And hey, like I have been sorely missing Evade and Copy existing, so I'm glad that we have something like that. But man, did it not need to do this much? Like it does
Yeah,
so
for
much.
sure. If it just had like that text on it, I'd be like, damn, this is really annoying but necessary. But because it also just goes, hey, like press all of these buttons on your turn, give my opponent the excuse to enter the enhanced step in between my attack string and like do whatever. Like I'm not thrilled.
I will say that like we did try to build around this card this afternoon. We just were like, oh, what are funny things that we can just use this card in? And if it is your only defensive trick, it doesn't do anything. Like you
Right.
have to be able to like play the game. You can't just put this card on the table and say, I gotcha. Which is something
Yeah.
where like sometimes Filled with Doubt does feel that way.
Mhm.
With this card, unless they're going all in on a dunk, like it's just a block that
All right.
has
Yeah.
a lot of upside. But
I have the definitive range tier list that it
Okay.
will not reset to 0. For those of you playing
Yeah.
at home, if I do not mention an attack and it has range on it, I'm sorry. I think your attack sucks. Okay. Falling Titans. Sure, that's somewhat relevant, but it's 5 speed. Thunderspear Barrage, as we said, has less than 5 speed. Bedazzled Helm Blast. In first place right now of cards that it's relevant that it doesn't reset speed for. Because that card might actually be very fast and
Yes,
hard to
that
block.
card
that card could just
AO
kill you,
Goblin
yeah.
Ball. That card has 3 speed. Violent Enemy Shot. That
Yeah.
card has 4 speed. Hunter's Ally. That card has 4 speed. Ready Shot. That card has 3 speed. Falling Debris. Second place currently for things that might have a lot of speed that you want to block. So that one could be very large. Miss of Despair. Did not know this card had ranged on it. Probably is only gonna have 5 speed, but maybe we'll have more. In Ymir specifically, it might have like 7.
Six
Right?
or-
So
I think it's
this is
6 is what it caps
6
out
or
at.
7. Yeah. So this is something that you might actually want to block. Electric Moth. This card has 3 speed. Horn Dash Hammer that we just talked about for 5 minutes has 4 speed, but it does have EX2. Into Shining Flash. This card has 4 speed. Battle Lore Release. This card has 4 speed. Big Freaking Explosion. I just said this because it might be 30 damage, but that card only has 5 speed, so you're probably still blocking
That's
it.
true.
Because you are a 0 high block. Inevitable Clash. This card is 5 speed. Punisher Speed. How'd that get there? Flash Fire Fist. Hell Spider. That card has 3 speed, but it gives itself 1 speed, so here we are. Featherstorm. Sure. This card will actually probably be 8 speed, but that doesn't matter.
But also, Hawks is illegal. So
Also, Hawks is illegal because of a card we're going to get to later.
Yeah.
But this is in third place right now, I guess, of cards that you can't block, like, whatever. Chimera Kraken. That card has 4 speed. And repeated 100% smash. I did not know this card had ranged on it. This card has EX3. You might actually want to be blocking this because they might be setting this 8 high or 9. They might actually, this could be a 10 high for your life total. Like that is possible.
And you know what?
That
Just
falls
like
into
that,
the top 5.
Just like that, we
Yeah.
figured it out. The definitive good Ryu package is Void Punches.
Yeah.
Void
Oh,
ranged
yeah.
attacks.
Okay,
Void,
so
void ranged punches.
so
Question
yeah,
mark.
that is probably all of them. And I'd say of the 20 here that are like meta relevant, I use that very generously. Meta relevant ranged high attacks in standard. I think like 5 of them have more than 4 speed anyway. So
And it's not like you can play around this card by playing ranged attacks because it can still reversal you. So it doesn't change anything. Like, unless you're putting a bunch of speed on everything, like you're not stopping this card being put on the table is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I am going, let me get on my soapbox real quick. I am going to do the thing that I do every time we release another hand trap into the game and complain about hand traps because I hate that we keep introducing all of these hand traps that are just like, they win the game and your opponent was not allowed to play around them realistically. Because that is the issue with hand traps in our game is 90% of the time you have to play the string, otherwise you explode on the next turn, and if you play the string and they have the hand trap, you just lose. And this card says you lose harder because it also punishes you.
You lose this turn.
Yes, actually. And then
And also,
sorry, one more thing. The other thing is this card is going to be so many of the NPEs that newer players experience, because I can tell you right now, someone is going to build Paul Phoenix because this card is a punch. They are going to go block with it, reversal you, discard, give it stun to. Oh wait, I will drive, commit my forceful negotiator first. So
discard
you have
Aaron's
to
trial, respond, you commit a face up.
Yep,
Yeah.
I will stun you 4 cards on your turn and then give my move 6 damage. Block my 4 high 10 after getting stunned for 4 on your turn.
And I mean, this card just came out. This is the only stun on their turn character currently, but who knows what's coming, right? So
Paul, yeah.
Yeah.
On top
So like
of that,
I don't think
the only
that
one that's
Paul-
compatible with all attuned, right? The only one that
Yes. Right. So yeah, like obviously that's a thing and it's going to happen to people and feel bad. I think that deck probably doesn't quite have enough going on, and you don't really have defense if you don't have exactly that card, but that doesn't change the fact that like if you're a new player sitting down into this and you get reversal stunned out, you're like, well, that sucked. Like there's
and then they enhance burnout for +2 damage and then commit your character.
It's and it's even worse if they ice pull you, right? Because like they go stun 3, freeze
they ice
them
pull first.
Freeze them. You dared to attack me. What an idiot. I'll block, time out the rest of your stage, hit you for 10 on your turn. Well, now you're guaranteed dead to my string next turn.
We literally just banned this Mitchell guy, and now we're what the hell? Now we're already back.
It's funny. I know that it doesn't help the damage, but I was considering unyielding destruction in Paul because it just says you have 2 ready foundations. Like that might not be the way to go about it, but the fact that you can just say to your opponent, all right, you're starting the turn with 2 ready. You might have had 11 ready, now you have 2. Like
giving unyielding stun 2 is kind of diabolical, not gonna lie. That's kind of crazy.
Dang, a lot of people have been clamoring for fighting game cards back in this game, but we seem to be really good at breaking the fighting game characters and cards in this game.
Oh well.
So the other part of this card though that we kind of need to address is based on our understanding of how the game works, you're allowed to.
Well, this is for Aerial Kokosho. Yeah, we should talk about
Aerial Kokosho. Yeah. So moving on to
let's move to Aerial Kokosho. Yeah.
It combos with this because I'm at least right now I'm putting both in the same deck. Like you can throw as many Aerial Kokoshos as you want from your hand because they're all within the same response window. So like there's a world that you get reversaled for 28 damage, 28 base damage.
I'm hoping there'll be some clarification that says you can't do this for the record. But right now, based on how the card reads, that is how it should function. And like,
yeah, so
yeah.
right
Yeah.
now, as the cards read and as we understand it, your opponent sitting across from you on, gee, I wonder if there are any good air and all symbol characters. Gets to lick their lips
Sprionk.
and make direct eye contact with you while you
Yeah.
play any amount of forms that are not attacks and dare you to go into the enhanced step against Rodan.
Yeah.
Is that a represented character? Do people play that one?
They sure do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
I get to watch Wub fucking look over his shoulder like the end of Michael Jackson's Thriller music video, and his eyes fucking go yellow when I go, I'll play this attack.
in the high or mid
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah, he just looks
That's
at not even in
that's
the
the
high or
thing.
mid zone because you can just make it a high with
the
so many
air
cards.
symbol has so many cards that are good that make attacks high. Supersonic Flight makes it a high.
Oh yeah.
Infinite Potential is just a reasonable card.
Yeah.
And is response speed, so it beats Phantom Threat.
Part is
like,
a one high block.
Yes.
It has
Yes.
a one high block. Yeah.
It has a one high block.
I don't know,
Yes.
like we just made like a turbo make it a high deck with Airy Smiles and Rising Uppercut and Aero Kokosho, and it just feels illegal for your opponent to do anything but build. And
Correct.
That sounds like Hawks, but doesn't get
Yes.
canceled
Yeah.
by Guardian Angel of Chinatown.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yes.
literally get a game, like you get an event or like a deck, if this is how it works, which is the preface, right? Where Wub gets to look at the fictional studio audience when his opponent plays an attack and go get a load of this guy and fucking reversal them for like 22 on their turn, and then they go, damn, that sucked. Can I hit you? Because you have 3 cards in your card pool, and Rodan goes, yeah, I don't know, man, -4 speed from discard for fun, and then block
Yeah.
again. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they'll find a way to finagle the rules that we can't do this. But even if you can't, it's still really, really good defense to just run Rising Uppercut and a bunch of make it a high things. Like,
Yeah.
that alone is still just extremely strong. And, like, you can do something like run Anti-Titan Artillery, or there's an asset from AOT2. Both of them say when an attack deals damage, target commit. So you can double target commit on their turn if you wanted. Like, there's a lot of things that work very, very well with reversals that, like, it's probably not going to be all that fun to play into these cards. You know, we've played with them for a couple hours, we'll see. But from our experience and like, we have played with reversals. It's not like we haven't. So
Absolutely.
I think the general sentiment is that these are not going to be the most enjoyable cards to play with.
yeah. And I guess to round it out, speaking of cards that aren't fun to play with that we've played with for a little bit, thoughts on Filled with Doubt 4 episodes in?
Oh, I wanted to mention one more Street Fighter card that I've been thinking about.
Go for it.
Before we, I think Drive Parry might actually be really good. I was just sort of toying around with it, and the fact that this card is very easy to put on the table, readies anything. There's no safety text, like ready or reset again, because we have now the infinity symbol has this plus Moment of Normalcy, so you can do both. And it's just a 0 mid block, so you don't even have to like cancel something on their board. I feel like this card is very, very powerful, and I don't know. It's just like another easy infinity thing that you can do, and that's all I wanted to say. It was catching my attention this afternoon, and I was like, yeah, this one might be good. Oh, we didn't talk about Guardian Angel either.
Yeah, we gotta talk.
Hold on, Mitch. That one.
I was gonna say we mentioned at the beginning. I'll find a way to segue from that.
Why do they hate Hawks so much?
I don't know. I really why do they hate Hawks so much? Why do they? I don't know, man. This card is very, very good.
Yeah.
Like no
Coming
one
off an
who
event.
has seen it yet has gone, yeah, that's fine, or like that's okay.
So for the
Well, I
record,
think
how
when
it
I
works with Hawks is if you try to use the Hawks once per turn enhance and they respond with Angel of Chinatown, you Sports Fest combo yourself. So you just die to a 10 high 10 instead of whatever it was going to be. So
Yes. So the only quote playing around it is by doing a flip early on something else, and your opponent just goes, okay, you burned your once per turn on nothing. Like, that's fine.
And then
so that also doesn't do anything. Like, it just says you're not allowed to
yeah.
It's really bad for Elder too. It's a disaster card for that character.
Correct.
Yeah, they pre-rotated Elder and Hawks. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that card is just that. Man, there are some cards that I see where it's just like, this is missing various lines of card text, and that is one of them. That should not work on characters. Just like
It feels like an Ageless and Wise, like one of those cards
Yes.
that they didn't. I at least think that they didn't really understand the full implications of printing it, but we'll see. Yeah, right now it does feel very bad. Like looking at Elder, I'm just this card is on my screen. I'm like, why would I attempt to defend with that character now? Like, sure,
Like, what do
it
you
is on a
even-
water symbol. Like Attack on Titan characters don't have that at least
I think
for
it's
now.
like
But
what's so terrible about it for me is not even like it negates my character ability on a flip one diff, is it makes my character ability actively detrimental to me. It makes my character ability like so they don't even have to flip it. It just gets to stay there because if I ever use the character ability, I die instantly.
Yep.
yeah,
You
can't,
one
like,
diff said flip for
fight
6
through it
damage.
somehow.
Yeah.
You know,
Your
it's not like
if your opponent spawns in across from you with the water symbol on their character, your character now says your opponent's turn, hand them a gun.
Go on, commit a crime.
Yeah, it's like oops.
there are cards like Goblin Bolt.
I guess it
where,
makes
like,
it a high.
yeah.
I guess.
It does do that. Oh, you can. Oh no. You're
Oh,
right.
fuck,
To be fair,
Okay.
actually, flipping the stats of Hawks is optional. So if you declare the enhance of Hawks, I imagine they have to respond immediately, and then you just don't flip the stats, right? So unlike Elder, you actually just go, okay, it's just a high now. All right,
Yeah.
maybe
Okay.
that's okay. You know what?
Hawks
Maybe
might be
Hawks is still alive. Elder Tagoro in the
Oh.
dirt.
No,
Hawks is
still
why did you
alive.
recognize this? This was part of a whole seed campaign, so you wouldn't play Hawks again. I will never stop you now.
Yeah.
It's just like there are certain
Wiggles
abilities that you can like you feel like you can fight through it because your one thing gets canceled and that sucks, like
Yeah,
a
but
team
this
doctor
is-
or something like
yeah.
that. But this just sits there and
Yeah,
stares at you,
this
and
one's
you can
rough.
never like Elder can
Yeah.
never flip ever.
Yeah, Elder can never. Hawks actually, because if they don't respond with it, then you go, okay, I will flip it. Okay, all right, maybe Hawks got some moves still. Maybe this isn't as detrimental to Hawks specifically as we thought. But to Elder, yes, this is. I will activate my enhance. Okay, you will die. Yeah, you will die.
I
You will-
see you have chosen death.
You will die by your own hand. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
We can complain about Phil without now.
yeah, hold on. Let me try and find a segue. I guess. Yeah, here, you know what? I got one. Speaking of from hand.
All right.
Yeah. Filled with doubt, complaining speed run to wrap everything out. Or wrap everything up. We mentioned it before, where like filled with doubt contributes to like lazy defense for aggressive decks. I still think that's the case. Like putting one card into your card pool and then trying to block one other thing, like blanking one attack and then blocking one attack in the window where like your opponent's trying to capitalize and punish you for being an aggro deck before you untap and kill them. I still think is pretty good and pretty annoying. In general, it also like it was printed in the same set with all the shift attacks to like have some type of counter to the shift attacks, but also boy does it feel awful to play them now. With like that running around potentially. In general, it's like infinity attuned, so like you literally have to consider it against every single deck, regardless of whether they've shown you one or not. Like depending on if it's depending on if Card.io decides to work or not, and you have an open deck list. But
Yes.
So
I still don't like it. It's here, whatever.
okay, I thought that we would do this section as kind of like, here's 2 weeks later. What are our thoughts on Attack on Titan 3 after playing with it a bit more?
Oh sure.
We could just complain about Phil without the entire time.
Well,
However,
I'm gonna run defense here, and I'm gonna say
okay.
I don't think I care as much as I did. I
agree.
think my opinion on it is so. Oh, granted, I don't think my opinion on it was ever, oh my god, this is the most broken thing ever. Like, how do we play the game anymore? I think my opinion is pretty much the same. Of, I think it's just another card that really restricts what cards can be viable, and it's just a card that like it exists. You have to build your deck, in my opinion, in pretty specific ways to get around it if it becomes popular. And certain characters give your attacks more help than others. A big reason why I think Peak is also so good is if your
Yes.
opponent filled with doubts your move and you shrug and you give it 3/3, they might just be dead. Like, like You filled with that in my Colossus SWAT? Well, now it's an 8 low 8. Alright.
And
All
you
right.
gave the
Yeah.
your moves are one faster for the turn
Yeah.
because
So
they put in the
like,
card.
you know, granted that creates the flip side of I checked a 3 on my Colossus SWAT, it got filled with doubted. This is my only attack. You're gonna block it and commit out because I checked a 3 on it, and then I'm gonna build and I die next turn. But it is like, I think my thoughts on like what attacks are probably viable have expanded a little bit. I still think like understated, overcosted moves, which were already kind of sus into sweeping daggers, feel even worse. Like something about the Nick Reagan deck that we didn't mention of like, what are the good things you can copy with Nick Reagan? It's like, well, True 100, Patchwork Baby. Wow, those sure are really, really weak cards into Filled with Doubt and Sweeping Daggers, right?
Yes.
Like if your Patchwork Baby, and then again, if your Patchwork Baby gets Filled with Doubted and you're playing Nick, at least you get to click the Nick Enhance, which does a lot of heavy lifting, right? So like similar to Peak, where well, my attack got filled with Doubted, at least I give it 3/3, which like I think it's just another Sweeping Daggers esque card where I do not think, oh my god, my opponent played filled with doubt, I can't win, this is insurmountable. It's just a in the deck in before I enter the tournament, my deck is looking 20 cards different, and it's maybe some of the more fun cards that I'm not allowed to play anymore. Is kind of my thoughts on it. And like that's kind of lame, but it's whatever. Like at the end of the day, if I play locals, I'm gonna play the funny cards I like, and if I get filled with doubt, I don't care. And then at an event, in theory, I'm playing the cards that I think are good to win anyway. And unfortunately, fun is not as much of a factor, in deck building in that regard anyway. So maybe it doesn't matter. It really depends on your perspective. I just don't think like every single person should be forced to build like to win. I just think it's like to build your deck with that anti-fun mentality at all times kind of gets draining, but here we are.
Yeah. I generally agree. I think my opinions on like AOT3 in the last few weeks have improved. I think that like the characters that I've been having fun with and that are doing well feel like they play the game in ways that I enjoy. Like there is that filled without asterisks. I'm not in love with that card, but the fact that I feel like I'm capable of blocking um airship has felt very good as like a defensive tool as well. Like it's also just struggling with studies plus plus. Like you don't have to wait for them to hit you 3 times. Um, so I feel like that while these cards are really strong, the characters that are at least doing well currently feel like they are playing the game with each other and not necessarily ripping each other's heads off on two. I will say with the asterisk of like there was a small webcam event this weekend, Porco turned 2, Barlow in the finals twice. Like they those things still exist, but I think overall I'm feeling a little bit better about things. And yeah, I think that's the gist of it for me. But
I don't
Travis,
like.
you got any thoughts?
I'm kind of stewing because I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but like all of my experiences playing AOT 3 meta so far have been, well, I thought this character was going to be hyper playable. So for example, Zeke 1, I was like, oh yeah, this character is going to be sick. He has so many new backups to work with. The Jaegerists are crazy in him. He's got crazy defense. He flips and scales absurdly well into the late game because eventually he's just going to be a 10-11 hander and give 2/2 to all his moves, and he can tutor from discard pile. And then another good example is like Inasa. Like I was like, oh yeah, Inasa's going to be cracked this format, and it's like, no, no, they're not actually. Because as it turns out, these characters will just get mollywopped by anyone playing something hyper aggressive because the aggro tools that we printed in this set are yet again still better than the defensive tools as they usually are. And we decided it was a good idea to give Pony Kiyomi. That card is a card that exists. As we saw in the top cuts of the OCE regionals, there were 5 copies amongst the top 8. And I don't know. It's just really frustrating, and the filled with doubt thing of me like hating hand traps in this game and what they stand for and what they do and the way they force like play patterns that are generally not fun to experience because like no one wants to be forced to play a line in such a specific way to not lose to something that just might not be there. And like, truth be told, we're not Yu-Gi-Oh! We're not trying to be that game. There are a lot of similarities between this game and that one, but we are not trying to be Yu-Gi-Oh! To the point where it's like, oh, I have to play around these cards existing at all times because there aren't enough of them for us to want to have to do that. And I think that's what is frustrating because now we're starting to get to a point where there are enough of them that you do have to do that. And I don't like that as a gameplay experience in our game.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think at least from results so far, there isn't as much fill without as I would expect, but it's also early format and people, like we said, are doing 2 2 2 2 2 in their sideboards and stuff, and it's not
Yeah.
as focused. So there definitely is that aspect of like at a certain point, we're just going to have to always start respecting that card. I mean, I know we do internally in testing, but I just mean generally, like, you know, your round 2 or 3 opponent will be very likely to throw that card at you, at the next event. So that kind of is what it is. I I have started to enjoy the set overall, but I think that there are just I also feel like Unyielding, even though it hasn't made as much of a splash as I would have expected, is just like a card that has me putting Fill Without in everything. Like just the fact that that card exists makes me feel like I don't want to be reset to the Stone Age in so many matches. Um, I don't even know if that's a reason to keep the card in my main board, but that one in particular is why I'm maining it right now. Is I really don't like that card from this set in particular, I think.
I think my opinion on AOT3 has like, okay, this is gonna get people are gonna be mad at this. I was not very happy with Heroes of Exandria, and it's less to do with what Heroes of Exandria was as a set, but it was like we just came off of rotation. Literally 20 of my favorite cards in the game I'm no longer allowed to play, and there were no Exandria characters that excited me that I wanted to play at all. So I just felt like the deck that I really enjoyed was just I couldn't use any of the cards I liked, and I didn't really vibe with any of the cards that came out. And it just felt like for those 3 months of Exandria without AOT3, there was just nothing to do. I felt extremely restricted, and AOT3 has just at least brought cards that like spark joy in deck building again, at least. And even if I don't love everything that this set has brought, I'm at least like, there are things that I look at, like I read characters from this set and are like, I want to build a deck with this character, like I want to explore enough of it. And I really just think it comes down to the character power level and not the card power level. I think upon thinking about it more, the power level of Exandria is probably fine. I just think the character power level was not there. And a lot of the characters were like pathetically weak compared to the rest of the metagame when they were released. And I just did not have any desire to deck build with any of them. And the cards that I liked were gone. So I was just sad.
Yeah.
And that was
really
kind of
like
how I felt.
It's really like the Godzilla decks and the champ cards for a bit that were just like looming over everything.
Yeah.
And then you have like the Attack on Titan stuff kind of. But I think had those not come out when they did, or if Godzilla cards had been adjusted a bit, I think we could have seen a bit of an Exandria meta because they were new and people would have tried them a bit more. But it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
They're no longer the newest set, so no one cares, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because like I don't think we talked about this in the first episode that we ended up publishing, but one of the ones that we recorded that we didn't, is like we looked at the results of one of the I think I'm pretty sure it was the Denver regional, or maybe it was the UK regional after that. But there were no hex characters in Top Cut, and like half of the decks had no cards from Heroes of Exandria in their deck at all. And it really just felt to me like we're just playing a format I enjoyed tremendously, and then we removed all the cards that I liked playing. and then we
Well-
were left with the rest, and I was like, wow, I don't like this at all. But I'm now looking forward to
Yeah.
newer cards. Like, I think there's been enough introduced post rotation that we can build decks again, and hopefully, like, I do hope some of these Exandria cards like kind of find their niche with new stuff coming out. Like, again, AOT3 was only half the symbols, and like presumably Exandria had multiple symbols that were not just an AOT. And with the sets coming out for the rest of the year and the sets coming out next year, I can't imagine we're going to be as restricted in symbols as we have been for AOT. So I am hoping that some of these cards from Exandria, like the Earth Attune cards and the Void Attune cards, will find homes down the line.
Yeah. I agree. I think that like a lot of what I have done as far as like deck building has just been pretty similar, where I go, well, these are the decks that I liked playing. Do they get anything new? And partially due to like the characters that I want to be playing not being ones that are getting support on attuned symbols, or like characters that I am trying to build definitely getting support on attuned symbols. That's like made the decisions a lot easier. But with this like most recent AOT set, I find myself scrolling past a lot of the AOT cards less, because like in the past it had just been like, okay, I'm building so and so, or like whoever. Most like of these cards, the lion's share of these cards are like unplayable or like not on my symbols. But now it's like, okay, well, there's a bunch of Infinity Attune stuff for better or worse that I can be playing in whoever I want. And then also there's more cards for like these characters that I'm excited about playing, right? Like I think we are like, there is more to do, like you said, and that's like a good thing in that regard. Whether or not the more to do is like that good for the game remains to be seen, because we haven't really had that much time with it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with that being said, that's the end of the 4th episode, I think, right? Of Werewub. Is episode 4?
Yeah. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is 4.
Yeah, well, hey, that's the end of episode 4. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. In the next 2 weeks, in between episodes, there are a lot of different other card game things happening that will be drawing at least my attention, likely Wub's as well, likely also Travis's, possibly
Oh,
Ryan's.
Shadowverse comes out.
Shadowverse, and then I know Wub is, or Wub, I know Travis is wanting to prepare for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Nats that's
Nats.
coming up. So, and Ryan will be evicted from the building if he plays in Yu-Gi-Oh! Nats.
Yeah.
He will be there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that is true.
you have it on record. But yeah, we might not have much more like nuance or takes updated for like the next episode as far as like what's going on with AOT3 meta, but obviously we will lock in closer to Louisville as we so often do. We are 4 of the chosen 160 for Louisville, which is I guess something we didn't touch on,
Oh,
is
yeah.
an event in this game capping for the first time ever in history, which is interesting.
I mean, it's just because they
but-
adjusted down, right? But
yeah, for sure. Like it makes sense why it happened, and it's like also I guess my very brief opinion on it is it does what it says on the tin. They said it 17 different times. If you plan on going register, it might cap, and they said it 17 different times, and then people still Pikachu faced. But I mean, anyway.
Which I will say on both sides, in their defense, they've said that every event and it's never happened. However,
Yeah.
this one
you can watch with your eyes. Yeah, you can watch in real time.
Yeah.
The information was never
Yes.
obfuscated. But,
Yes, it was.
yeah,
Yes, you could go on and see. Oh, there's only 20 slots left. Oh, there's only 10
Yeah.
slots left. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
if you wanted to play and didn't register, I'm sorry that happened. But at the same time, we
What did you
registered
expect?
2 months ago, so
At the same time, a skill issue.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry that happened, but also, yes.
But also play better. Anyways, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.